Hey, family. I was just sitting here and thinking about this ideal of capacity and bandwidth. And to be specific, more around the scripture that talks about how that God gives some a measure of faith, and that could either be 30, 60, or 100-fold. When I think about that, what really resonates with me is that we really need discernment when we are thinking of just in general people's capacity and bandwidth, because we sometimes have the ability to put expectations on people that they just don't have the capacity to fulfill. And I think sometimes we can come across as insensitive if you believe that everybody has the same exact bandwidth and capacity that you may have. Some people just don't have the ability to stretch to the capacity that God has given you to stretch to. And that's okay. There's nothing inherently wrong with that. And there's nothing bad at all with that. If anything, that should be more liberating than it should be debilitating, because then we know the limitations of individuals, and we should also obviously know our own limitations, because we don't want to push ourselves past a bandwidth that God hasn't given us the grace to walk in. So I say all this to say that when we are thinking about capacity and bandwidth, one of the biggest things that we can really lean into is understanding what our own capacity and bandwidth is, so that we can operate with that grace. Oftentimes some of the stuff that we do, it looks easy, but it's not. It's just because God has given us a grace for it. I'll give you just a quick example. Sometimes I think of like my wife and I and some of the things that we may be doing. And granted, we are fortunate, we're grateful, but you'll hear, or we will hear, let me be more personal about it. We will hear somebody who may be single, and this is no shade to anybody who's single, you all, who's talking about, man, like I'm overwhelmed. I got all this going on, so forth and so on. And my wife and I, we are not only trying to make sure we're leveraging our influence and impact, but we are running a small group. We are pouring into other people on the side. We are managing, obviously, and parenting 3 kids. We're managing a household where my wife is homeschooling. Just so many variations of things that are happening. And for us, it's because God has given us the bandwidth to do that. While we look at somebody else who may not be in the same exact circumstance, we may look at them more from a judgmental lens, but it also could be that God has given them a measure and they're operating within the measure that they have.
If this helped you, my free Bible study guide is in my bio.
Walk, yeah. Look at the way that I talk, yeah. You should have called it a cross.